I know Greg Biffle is leading this race right now by 3.5 seconds over Martin Truex Jr., but we mentioned Denny Hamlin from Richmond last week. Right now, on the stopwatch, this 11 car, he's in his own zip code. Our leader's running 30.0s in 29.90s. Denny Hamlin's last lap was 29.50, sitting back there in 5th spot.
You know, last Saturday night, Hamlin cut down that tire, and when he could not get to pit road, stayed on the racetrack, stopped right about there at turn 4, and drew the caution flag so as not to tear his car up. NASCAR held him for 2 laps. And Vice President of Competition Robin Pemberton explained this week it was not so much a penalty to Hamlin, but what they did was take away those 2 laps, because if he had come around and stopped under green, he would have lost 2 laps changing that tire. So by causing the caution, Hamlin should not gain an unfair advantage, and that's why they took away those 2 laps.
I'm not so sure it would have been worse, because that tire would have come apart and it had to go the length all the way around the racetrack. It could have been much worse for him than actually.
But he would have lost at least 2 laps.
Definitely
that's
lost
what
2.
they held him, and I think that was fair.
Oh, I do too. I agree.
The bottom line, the 11 car did what they needed to do. NASCAR did what they needed to do. As I mentioned, we sat with JD and Joe Gibbs today. He said, look, of all the reports that he stopped on the racetrack to put Kyle Busch on the rear bumper of Dale Earnhardt Jr., our guys worked together, but not quite that much together.
No, not at all. How about Travis Kvapil? Fred Lorenzen up in Elmhurst, Illinois, has got to be smiling. Been a long, long time. It's been the 1960s since this paint job and this sponsor rambled to victory on the racetracks of the South.
How would you like to be Fred Lorenzen up in Elmhurst up there, and you walk in, turn on the TV, and you say, man, that looks like my race car. I didn't know they had television back in my day.
We've been talking about Todd Parrott. There's Todd Parrott right there. Won the NASCAR championship with Dale Jarrett.
There weren't many races on TV back then, but there was Bud Lindemann and Car and Track Films.
Yeah.
Those are the films used for the Back in the Day series that Dale Jr. hosts on Speed. And Lorenzen figured prominently in a lot of races from here at Darlington.
He was the golden boy. That's what they called him. He was Ford's golden boy. We got a golden boy. What's his name?
Man named Burns.
Wow, that's nice. But in any case, Travis Kvapil just said the right front tire not working very good right now. In the front end, well cut. Todd Parrott said, we just passed halfway, bud. We'll get you fixed up.
And the thing about it, Steve, we've been on a long run here. We're within about 15 laps of what will be green flag pit stops again for all these guys, including Travis Kvapil in the 28.
He's not happy, but he's a tenth or more quicker than Jimmy Johnson, the man he's chasing. They are all chasing Greg Biffle, who has just 1 win in the last 46 races. That was at Kansas last September.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. By Applebee's, it's a whole new neighborhood. By Radio Shack, don't just buy stuff, do stuff. And by Mountain Dew. Are you old school or new school? Time for an AT&T race break, and Martin Truex Jr. has moved out in front. 194 laps in. Greg Biffle having problems. The pole sitter, by the way, no pole sitter has won a race so far this season, and he was blistering, leading 60-plus laps in this race, but some problems and now pitting. Matt Yoakum has the latest on Biffle. Matt?
His chances for victory may be gone. Biffle says he thinks the transmission is definitely broken. Transmission issues on the 16 of Biffle, and he slides to a stop.
Thanks, Matt. The leader, by the way, at the halfway point has failed to win 10 of the last 12 races, and Biffle was our leader at the halfway point with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, and here feeling the transmission go.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's going along there. He just got through passing Tony Stewart, and it like the car almost lost power, Chris. Again, if he's got a transmission problem, he could have basically broken 4th gear. You see his crew chief right there, Greg Irwin. He knows something's wrong. They're trying to figure it out. Again, he's got the car on pit road. They've changed 4 tires. He's gone back out of the racetrack. But here's your leader right now, Martin Truex Jr. And Chris, he's doing a phenomenal job. Ran well last week at Richmond. And he's been kind of pacing himself, kind of laying in the weeds, working his way up toward this lead. And he's now taking this lead.
First top 5 finish last week for Martin Truex Jr. Started 22nd tonight in the Darlington stripe, making its mark on drivers, and this is the 28 car.
Yeah, he was right in behind Jimmy Johnson. Travis Quapple running up there in that, basically in the top 10, but again, he hit the wall hard. Looking out the camera of the AT&T car of Jeff Burton, you see how hard he got into that wall off of the corner there, Chris. Again, as we go further tonight, I think you're going to see more of this. These racetrack's going to change. The guys are going to lose their focus, and this is going to be more. You're going to see more and more of these guys bouncing off the wall.
We are working at an average speed at a record pace over 142 miles per hour early on. This is the second lap. Top 10 in points. Tony Stewart wrecked by Elliott Sadler. Elliott apologized. The lap down is Tony Stewart, and 22 spots lost for Kyle Busch, the points leader and the leader, because of a lug nut that was missing. And then a top 5 in points. Kevin Harvick coming into the race, currently running 6th at this point, hit the wall. His highest was 4th. And out and of the picture right now, slipping behind. So we've had 13 different leaders, 22 different lead changes, and a blistering pace considering the speed of this track.
Yeah, it definitely is right now. Again, we're watching Martin Truex Jr. trying to get a lap on Casey Kane, who's hanging on the 22nd position right now, Chris.
And if you want an exclusive look inside the world of Richard Childress Racing, Jeff Burton of the 31 Chevrolet, thanks to AT&T, you can get that look using cellular video on your AT&T handset. You can access all the inside RCR content. So it's Truex, Gordon, Hamlin, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Since Darlington lost its Labor Day race to California Speedway, we race here only once a year. So Martin Truex has only 2 Sprint Cup starts here. He finished 14th in 2006, 11th in 2007. This is the first time he has led a race here.
You know, back to Biffle's problem. Remember, he complained about a vibration. That could have been a loose wheel or something like that, other than a transmission. We'll see how it turns out.
Now, I think we're just about to start see what will be green flag stops. I'm seeing Tony Stewart on pit road. Looks like Casey Kane in the 9. I think Jeff Gordon in the 24, who had just been passed by Denny Hamlin for 2nd.
Now, Greg Biffle's woes continue. Matt?
Mike, the prognosis keeps going back and forth. Now, after the stop, a crew member went out on the concrete pad with some cleaner, and where the transmission would be in the box, they were cleaning up some fluid, but also they did have a right rear tire that was loose. You could see where the lug nut holes were. Krista?
Martin Truex, the leader, comes in for his pit stop. His car has been great all night, and it gets better as the race goes on. A 4-tire change for Martin Truex. They had a sub-13 stop on their last stop. They get all the fuel in, and there goes Martin Truex.
Blaney, Hamlin are in, so is Quapple, Carpentier, and Jimmy Johnson. And Dale Jr. back to the lead. Little contact on pit road. And here's Matt.
Jimmy Johnson in pit road. His teammate Jeff Gordon already gone. He was ridiculously tight. Johnson wasn't quite as bad, although he has been fighting tight most of the night. Chad Knaus going for an air pressure change to Krista.
Kyle Busch is tight. They're going to make a wedge adjustment on the stop, and they're going to pay special attention to those lug nuts. They missed one on the last stop. There goes Kyle. Matt.
And the 88, Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in the pits. He says his car is just not consistent. It won't turn off turn 2, and then when it does, it spins to Steve.
Matt, the 17 of Matt Kenseth is a little concerned about his brakes. He has to lay off of them a couple laps at a time. He also wants his car tightened up on this stop to make a chassis adjustment, and it will be 4 tires for Matt Kenseth.
David Reagan picks up the lead for the first time. Oh, he missed the cone. Missed the commit cone, so he'll have to come around again to make his stop, and that'll be costly for Reagan. He's not the first driver to miss that tonight.
Nope. Darrell talked about that earlier. You're running so fast, and the apron is so tight, and it just sneaks up on you because the entrance is right there, smack dab in the middle of turn 4.
And it's dirty, too. That's the big thing.